So I want to go over the Cavs, this Cleveland Cavaliers Indiana game. And first I want to show you some of these tips right here that I don't agree with. This one right here, the 0-2 trend, they say to bet a team that is down 0-2. Okay, this does work, but you have to know the situation. Okay, like for instance, the Portland and New Orleans series, it wouldn't have worked on that because there's a reason why Portland wouldn't win game 3 is because they were on the road. Okay, it works a lot better when teams are at home, especially as a short favorite or a favorite in general. The 0-2 trend here. Okay, you don't do it with any team that's down 0-2, just like the Spurs yesterday against Golden State. They were underdogs at home, so they weren't getting any respect. They have to either be getting respect from the line maker, or they have to be at home and evenly matched for it to work. Okay, they have to be either the favorite at home, or they have to be evenly matched practically for them to come out of an 0-2 hole like this, 0-2 trend, because it will not always work. I agree with this in-game. You can make a lot of money on the in-game. If you would have taken Indiana in-game, you could have made a lot of money today on that bet alone on the money line. If you thought Indiana was going to come back from 17 down, you would have made a ton of money. Okay. Now, the in-game is a very good tool. Another thing I like to use is props, and I'll get to that in a minute. Don't fear the chalk. Yeah, the favorites are winning. I'm going to show you an example of a good bet for the first quarters, okay, and why you would take a favorite in this situation. The chalk does win when they have their backs against the wall. Okay, so just like this Indiana game, okay, this opened up at 2, and what happened was it dropped to a 1, and it flipped. The line flipped toward Cleveland, so the public money is taking Cleveland. Then later in the day, the sharp money started coming back on Indiana, balancing it out. There was still quite a bit more money on Cleveland. The sportsbooks needed Indiana to win this game, which they did. Okay, so public money early, sharp money late, and they moved that line. Okay, so the thing I want to get to is the reason I thought Indiana would win this game is because of Cleveland's defense, right? They give up a lot of points, so I knew Indiana would come back in this game. That's why I'm saying that the in game would have been a great bet in this game. Okay. Another thing I liked was taking the under on LeBron James, because if you notice last game, LeBron James scored 46 points, right? And my videos are mostly about reverting back to the average. You have to understand, you have to treat this like a stock market, okay? You buy the rumor, you sell the news, okay? And just like Dwayne Wade, when he scored, I believe he had a game high 30 or so points against Philly. Okay, the next game following that, he did not do as well. Okay, this game right here, LeBron had 28. The over-under on the prop bet was 32.5. You would take the under on that bet because of the fact that he had a good game in the last game. So I knew, he's not going to score like that again in the following game because he had 46 the prior game. Okay, another example would be James Harden. Okay, he had 44 in the first game. The next game, they were dogging Chris Paul because he didn't play as well. The next game, Chris Paul stepped up. Harden only had 12 points. Okay, see, this is where you can make some serious money. Okay, you take James Harden under total points. You take LeBron under total points. You have to fade these top teams and these top athletes. Okay, that is how you beat the sports books. That is why the sports book limits are not as high as spreads. Okay, there's only a certain amount of money you can place on a prop bet compared to a spread bet, because they know they can be beaten on these type of bets. Okay, you have to have these in your tool, your arsenal, for you to be successful sports betting. You have to know this stuff. Okay, so LeBron James under was a great bet. Under 32 and a half. He had 28 points. They sat him in the second quarter. I believe he sat 2 more minutes than he did in the prior game. He sat like 6 minutes in the second quarter. Okay, and that is why he didn't need to do as much, because of the fact that they were up already. They were up by 15, 16 points, so he really didn't have to do as much like that second game. Okay, and just by this comes real easy once you start to understand that every team, every player normally comes back down to their average. Okay, and if you look at this game right here, this Boston-Milwaukee game. Okay, Milwaukee had 2 bad games on the road. Now they come home. The line makers give them respect by making them a 6-point favorite. Okay, this is a high line. This is going to make you think, okay, you don't want to bet this. That's why the line makers are so good, because they make it so that you don't take the favorite, right? Because if you look at this matchup here, you're going to look at this and say, oh, I'm going to give 5 points away. That's a lot of points, right? And that's going to sway you in the other direction. Okay, but see what you can do here. If you want to avoid this line, you could break it up and take Milwaukee in the first quarter. All right, the first quarter. If you look at the first quarter was 2.5, right? I believe it was 2. Okay, that's the first half. Let's see the first quarter. I believe it was 2.5. See, I'm studying these games all the time. I don't just look at first halves. I don't just look at games. I look at everything. Okay, so first quarter was 2.5 on Milwaukee. Now, that's a pretty good bet there. I would take Milwaukee for these reasons, okay? Knowing that Boston has a great defense, all right? Milwaukee has a better offense than Boston, okay? They're going to come out with a lot more motivation, okay? So you can almost expect this to be a blowout in the first quarter. You know why? Because of the fact that Boston is not a good shooting team. And the chance of them playing, top defense, okay, in the third game after they just came off 2 wins is very unlikely, okay? Usually that's not going to happen. They're not going to play an aggressive defense early on. That is why Milwaukee jumped out to this early lead, 27-12 here. They outscored them again in the second quarter. Okay, so this was a great bet here. I would have just stuck with the first quarter. I would have just taken Milwaukee first quarter, because of the fact that you knew they were going to come out aggressive, right? Down 0-2 to split up this line here. Boston's not going to play an aggressive defense in the first quarter, all right? Especially coming off of 2 wins. So these are things that you just pick up on. Everybody reverts back. Just remember, everything reverts back to the average, okay? It's just like a stock market. That's how you make money in this business, okay? So I went over that. Don't fear the chalk. The 0-2 trend, yes, it does work, but not on every game. Okay, it didn't work on it did not work on the Oklahoma game or the Pelicans game. Let me go back to this matchup. Okay, it was April 19th. Okay, let's see. Okay, right here. So that 0-2 trend here wouldn't have worked. You know why? Because of the fact that the Portland was on the road. Okay, They lost all momentum in that second game. I think what actually hurt Portland was losing the first game very close. Okay, that's normally what happens because they don't make adjustments in that second game. They feel like uh, when a team loses a close game, they feel like they did enough to win, so they don't really make adjustments. I think by Portland losing that first game only by 2 points hurt them a lot. They would have been better off getting blown out in the first game than they come back and respond in the second game. That's normally what happens in sports. Okay, it all depends on how a team loses. All right, whether they get blown out or they lose a close game, the mindset completely changes in that instance. Okay, so they lost the first game by 2. They felt that they could win the game. Okay, I don't think they made enough adjustments. New Orleans comes back and wins the second game. They did get off to a good start, Portland, in that second game, but New Orleans eventually wore them down. All right, and then the third game, obviously, New Orleans has confidence now. They go back home. That is why this is a blowout. Okay, you wouldn't take Portland in this situation, especially on the road. Okay, you would not take Portland in this situation. Okay, so just wanted to go over some things right there, give some knowledge. Okay, just remember the in game is also a gold. Also gold. You can make a lot of money in the in game. So that is reason why. If you go back to today, that is the reason why Indiana came back. I do believe that Cleveland will be eliminated. I still stick with that prediction. They will be eliminated very soon. All right. So I'll be back with another video. So comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you then.